Hey guys, so today is going to be a little chat about minimalist movements. You know that on my channel we do from time to time talk about minimalism because it's a big part of my life, and it is a tool really that I've learned to utilize to improve my well-being, my general well-being, and it is also a tool that I feel that can be versatile enough to be useful for mostly everybody, if not everybody. And I want to just sort of highlight a few YouTube movements that are kind of fun and kind of interesting. And in my sort of surfing of minimalist channels, I've come across these particular subtypes of minimalism that I find fascinating. And if you are into minimalism, I would suggest you type those into search terms and look them up because they're really quite fun and interesting. And each of them is a bit of a take on what a minimalist is and how minimalists live. The first one is van life. I am so incredibly sad that sometime in my 20s I didn't figure out that I could just live out of a nice van and travel and see the world, and that just seems like a dream come true, which will not come true because I now have a house and a career and a child and obligations and all kinds of things that aren't necessarily the most conducive to van life. Van life is this movement where people live out of their vans, sometimes modify them in the most ingenious ways to try and have basically a tiny mini home in their van and live out of there. Of course, that requires minimalism because you don't really have space. And they go and travel and drive around, see things. This just sounds magical. I would have loved to have tried that when I was a little bit younger. Number two is microhomes. That is something that I can totally see myself doing in the future. Right now, we actually have a very large house for 3 people, myself, my husband, and my child. We really have an excess of space, and also obviously considering the fact that we're pretty minimal and we don't have a lot of possessions, the house is pretty empty. There's not much in here, which is how I like it, and it's so easy to clean, thank you. But, you know, microhomes really sound pretty fascinating. So I see myself maybe when I retire or maybe during semi-retirement. We'll talk about it at some point, but I have some financial independence plans pending. And my husband wants to get in on that conversation too and share with you guys what our thoughts and our ideas and our actions are to try and gain as much financial independence as possible so that we don't have to bust our asses forever. And we are definitely going to have a conversation about it. But microhomes can be a part of that conversation. It's all intertwined. And microhomes are those tiny little homes that people build that are very smartly designed, that are beautiful and comfortable and 100% functional. And there's no waste of space anywhere. Every centimeter of space is completely utilized perfectly. And so those microhomes obviously are cheaper to build, cheaper to maintain, cheaper to heat, all of that, which is wonderful. And they're, you know, a very sustainable way to live most of the time because you are reducing your ecological footprint, even when it comes to wasting of lights and wasting of heating, whatever mode of heating you use. So microhomes are cool, and I can see myself living in a microhome in the future. We'll definitely see where life takes us, but microhomes are on the table so far. Number 3, decluttering channels. And you know, that's been going on for a long time, years. Before Marie Kondo wrote her book, before she got the show on Netflix that everybody's obsessing over right now, which, by the way, I don't really love. I think, you know, I think her show is kind of boring, but it's getting people to talk about decluttering and talk about minimizing and having more things you love and getting rid of things you don't. So it's good. It's all overall, I think, a positive. But I already had a conversation with you guys on my channel before all of this Netflix thing started with Marie Kondo about her books. And I was saying that I did read her books. I didn't find them extremely utilitarian, which is what I'm looking for minimalism. So did not work for me. But decluttering channels are fun. People who declutter, or usually they do a decluttering series because once you've decluttered, you don't declutter for a while. So you can't make a channel out of it necessarily. But decluttering series, when you are seeing people just go through their stuff, and my favorites are obviously bathrooms because what people find so many interesting things under their sinks, like things you would never think to put there. They're there. When decluttering is going on, that's when they make an appearance, and it's quite fun and interesting to watch. Decluttering makeup, perfumes, and clothes are my favorites, because decluttering your kitchen or your garage, obviously the before and after are impressive, but it's like less fun to watch individual items. Whereas decluttering bathrooms or linen closets or wardrobes, there's just more visual interest, more fun things to see. Then we have number 4, work uniform capsule closet, and some channels are basically dedicated to that and fashion. And I have adopted actually not so much the work uniform, but the capsule closet idea. And now I have capsule closet, which I really, really love. Minimum of items and maximum functionality. Marry those two and it's beautiful. So look up capsule closets or capsule wardrobes. That could be really fun to watch, because honestly, it's kind of interesting to see people declutter or create their capsule. You really see a snapshot of who they are and how they perceive themselves in the world and what they want to present themselves as. So I think it tells you a lot about a person. You know, if a person has a closet full of crap and it's just boundless, endless stuff, that tells you something too about the person owning the closet. It tells you a lot of things about them. None of them are about who they are as a person. But a capsule wardrobe really captures what you like in a neat little package. So those are always fun for me to watch. Number 5, nomadism. And oftentimes it's digital nomads. We've all heard about it. Everybody's jealous about these people who have a job where they can throw their laptop in their backpack and take off and go to, I don't know, Finland or Thailand or any other kind of land, Swaziland, and just travel and work and travel and do what they do from wherever. With my career, it is not possible. I work in the healthcare field. I can take off and go to another country and work in another Commonwealth country. That's not a problem, but then you're still settling. Digital nomads, it's a whole cool movement of these, like, you know, graphic designers and web designers and code writers and all of these people who live within the digital framework and work within the digital framework, and they can do that from anywhere. So super cool. Digital nomads or nomads in general. Sometimes these are the yogis who are like traveling the world and doing different poses in different mountains, whatever. It's all fun and cool. And I think nomadism is so interesting. If I was unattached and did not have, again, the family and the responsibilities that I have, and believe me, I know I'm lucky to have, that's totally what I'd be doing. I'd be like, meh, maybe I'll work for the UN with different missions, or maybe I'll learn to code and go live in South Africa or perhaps New Zealand or somewhere in Asia. You know, it's really fun to watch. So totally check out nomads. Number 6, modular life. So these people are obsessed with creating little modules for everything. Little tiny modules of anything you could ever need to pull out and do. An example of a module is like a first aid kit. You have a little place where you store all the things you need in case somebody gets hurt. Now think about this concept applied to basically everything. It's pretty cool, and the whole quick access, the whole thought is about minimal moves for maximal impact, and it's pretty interesting. Number 7, project panning. About all of the ways I project pan. I project pan fragrances, I project pan cosmetics, I project pan nail polishes. I love it. I stumbled across project panning movement when I was sort of surfing within the beauty movement, and that really intrigued me, and that kind of what started the whole minimalism thing. I started decluttering and project panning at the same time, and my makeup collection has shrunken very significantly since then. Now it's a very reasonable size. I will film my total, like, complete makeup collection video at some point. I'll show you which are my favorites, which are sort of on chopping block, and how I keep decluttering things. I think it's kind of fun to see what people are up to, and it's really nice to have some kind of a stimulus or a goal to try and adhere to use up the things that you have. It makes you more appreciative, first of all, and secondly, it's kind of very satisfying to see the end of something. And then we have number 8, no buys. No buys within the minimalist movement. are very, very popular. And I'm thinking about doing one sometime, but I don't think it's really necessary for me, mostly because I don't buy a lot of things. Buying isn't really part of my everyday routine. And I don't even remember the last time I purchased a piece of clothing. Maybe about a year ago, I bought some undershirts. That's about it. Like, I don't shop. I don't shop much anymore. I do shop on occasion from a couple of brands for makeup, and I need to cut that out. So maybe a makeup no-buy would be good. Definitely perfume no-buy is absolutely necessary for me because I have just so many fragrances that I'm drowning a little bit in the amount that I need to review. So no-buys, that's something I could get behind for sure. Then we have number 9, organization. It's a little bit different from decluttering because decluttering is getting rid of stuff. Organization is really about putting everything into tiny little boxes. Organization is about just making things look very neat. And doesn't necessarily have to do with decluttering, but oftentimes it does. Most people who are minimalists are very, very organized, mostly because they don't have a lot to organize. It's much more difficult to be a shopping addict and be organized. Trust me. If you want to lean towards minimalism, organization, and tidiness, and just appearing to yourself like you have your life together, is much easier. And I am naturally a very messy person, actually. So I'm not naturally inclined to have everything in perfect order. But when you're living in a minimalist lifestyle, it's very difficult to make it messy. Possible, but very hard. So I really enjoy a clean environment, but cleaning itself really bums me out. Organization bums me out, but when you don't have a lot to organize, it doesn't seem like such a huge task and you can actually have fun with it. So organizing channels can be really, really fun to watch and are definitely part of the minimalist movement. Number 10, let's talk about aesthetics. Really, minimalism to a lot of people is associated immediately in their mind. And that's not the reality, but this is what you see on Pinterest. Therefore, this is the truth. For a lot of people, minimalism is really very heavily associated with a minimal aesthetic. What does that mean? It's either a very Scandinavian earthy theme of everything being super, super simple, or more likely you're thinking of a sterile environment with white walls and black accents or white and gray or whatever, you know, something really monochrome within white, black, and gray spectrum, and something super, super simple, something that looks a little bit like a hospital, possibly. So aesthetics play a big role in it, and sometimes it's just really fun to watch people's homes and to see what people have in their homes. And a lot of people have very, very standard American sort of home situation and decor, but some minimalists have very interesting idea of what an aesthetically pleasing environment is. And I urge you to go and take a look at that, because some of the homes and some of the interior designs that you can come across on YouTube are impressive, interesting, very, very desirable, and some are weird. So there's definitely a lot there. So this is the interesting minimalist movements online that I could think of and that I could definitely categorize and break down to share with you, and just give you some search words if you're interested in exploring any of those. So go start surfing. There's so much cool content out there with regards to minimalism, and you can really find some interesting people doing some interesting stuff with their lives. That's it for today. Leave me down below if you have any particular thoughts about any of these categories that I've listed. And that's it for today. Have a great day. Have fun. Good luck. Bye-bye.